Okay.
We are now recording.
Yeah.
And my usual question is, what made you pick this particular recipe and why do you want to share it with us?
Okay, so when I was like thinking about what to do on this cooking show, I was like, some of my favorite desserts that I was talking with you about were like I really loved them, but they had to take like hours to like throw in the fridge after the first layer and then come back. So I was like, okay, what's something I can make, in like, I don't know,
Like an example?
15, 20 minutes.
I don't know,
Um,
like
my
what?
strawberry pretzel salad is one of the ones that I really,
Okay,
really
that
like.
sounds just wrong. Like
That's
pretzel in a salad. Americans will make anything a salad.
It doesn't actually have lettuce, but it's pretzels and butter. Cool Whip and cream cheese and strawberries and, Jello. But we call it a salad.
Okay, back to the question.
Anyway,
What made you pick
something
this one?
quick, something easy. The last time I made these, I brought them into work, and my coworkers
Wait a
absolutely
second, you
adored
got
them.
everybody drunk at work?
I mean, I Googled it, and you literally have to eat like a 20 or 30 of them to even get slightly
I will
buzzed.
try to eat 20 or 30 of these. Bourbon chocolate balls. I mean, it sounds like it's something I need to accomplish. So, all
Okay,
right.
so yeah, you let us know how that goes. Um, but anyway, so yeah, if you guys can't see it or whatever, I'm gonna be using cocoa, powdered sugar, a quarter cup of bourbon, and then corn syrup, crushed wafers, and then chopped pecans or walnuts. What I started to say earlier about the wafers is that so the first time I made this, I like went to go use the rectangular vanilla wafers that have like the chocolate and the strawberry, and then I realized, it was probably actually talking about these circular wafers, but I mean, it works either way. Um, they're both vanilla wafers and they both good, so Anyway, um, so the first step is to sift. Hope y'all can see that. Anyway, sift the cocoa and the powdered sugar. So that's 2 tablespoons of cocoa. I only have a half tablespoon right now, so I'm gonna do 4 tablespoons. But y'all do whatever you got. Anyhow. Everybody went quiet.
So you're just you're putting the powdered sugar and the cocoa together.
Yes, sifting the
So
cocoa. It's 2 tablespoons cocoa and then 1 cup powdered sugar, and we're just sifting that together for the first step.
so
1 cup. Try not to spill the
chocolate
cocoa.
flavored powdered sugar.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's one out there, but we're gonna go with what the recipe is. Also, I had to like actually write out the recipe because I'm used to just doing it on my phone. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can't pull up Zoom on my phone and pull it up on Food Network, but Okay, so yeah, now I'm just sifting the cocoa and powdered sugar together with a fork.
how much cocoa and how much powdered sugar?
Okay, 2 tablespoons cocoa
Mm-hmm.
and 1 cup powdered sugar. And we're just mixing it up here until it's all, finally mixed together, kind of makes that one color sort of thing. And then we're mixing a quarter cup of bourbon into this cocoa and brown sugar. So obviously you could do a little bit more or less, whatever you want, but I think the last time I made it, I did a little extra just for fun, but go by the book this time.
So this isn't those typical alcohol recipes where it's like a little for the recipe, a little for you, a little for the recipe, and at the end the recipe is not working.
Right? And then 2 tablespoons light corn syrup. So,
Now, do we have to mix the bourbon before adding the corn syrup, or just dump it all in at the same time?
it said the bourbon and the corn syrup together and then mix,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm sure it'd be fine if you mix the bourbon first. Yeah, again, just whatever you think. And then again,
Lulu,
my
have
half
you already
tablespoon.
been drinking it? Go in order. No.
So, you know, my theory is use the freshest ingredients. And so, like, before making something, if it is edible, I mean, I don't do this with raw eggs, but if something is edible, I pop it in my mouth. So, of course, I had to test the bourbon, right?
Of course. You mean you got to test your ingredients.
Yeah, you
Like I
want
was,
the freshest.
like I was telling somebody at the Newman Center the other day, I was like, we got to do quality control. Like, can't be having bad products.
So,
Anyway.
or neglected to say, introduce yourself, please. So I don't know your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess that'd be a good thing to do. I'm Aubree.
Aubree. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I worked with or at his food pantry quite a bit. I'll actually be the main chef over there. Well, not I say main chef. Main one boxing dinners and stuff because he's out of town this week.
Oh,
And then yeah,
yeah, I
just
may have
kind of
met you.
I do WDBX as well. I have my own radio show on Tuesdays from 5 to 7 a.m. I'm a server and I cook in the kitchen for my job. So a little bit about me.
Okay, so Aubree,
Yeah.
I have my powdered sugar and my cocoa together. So what do I do next?
You've got your cocoa, your powdered sugar. You mix your bourbon and your corn syrup, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm mixing the bourbon and the corn syrup into our cocoa and powdered sugar.
And how much bourbon?
Bourbon, let me see. We need a 1/4 cup bourbon and 2 tablespoons light corn syrup.
And Suzanne, as mentioned, that's a 1/4 cup in the recipe.
No,
Hey,
I'm at a
nobody's
friend's
judging
house.
though
I
if you
can't
want to
drink.
take a couple shots.
Yeah, I
At least
drove.
I'm
So
not.
It's funny how much I like make fun of alcohol and I don't like drink almost at all. It's just like it's just fun to
You make fun of alcoholics. No, just kidding.
I make fun of everything.
I tend to make it.
That's
If
true.
you don't have fun, why bother?
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, now it looks basically just like a chocolate layer almost, with the corn syrup and the bourbon.
So how do you keep your fingers out of that?
With my fork. I
Just
mean,
like
I could. I'm probably gonna use my hands here in a minute when we make the balls, actually, but for now I'm keeping my hands clean. I thought about getting gloves, but I was like, that's something else. Okay. So now we need the wafers and the pecans. That's 2 cups crushed wafers and 1 cup fine chopped pecans or walnuts, whatever you like to do. I do not have mine chopped yet, so I'm going to use my little food processor thing here.
have you done it with any other kinds of nuts or it?
I think I have done pecans and walnuts, like not mixed, but like I've done pecans a few times, walnuts a few times, and I liked both of them about the same, but I haven't done any other nuts like peanuts or almonds or whatever, you know.
So, under the guise of substitution, is there another alcohol that you could? So obviously the title or the name of the recipe would change from
Right.
bourbon balls to rum balls or tequila balls.
Right.
I'm just saying, have you ever done it with a different alcohol?
I have never, but I mean, you can try it, right? See what
Right,
happens.
right.
So
By
all
the
I have
way-
is brandy.
So that's curious. That's exactly my question. So, but
So
I have to tell
Suzanne,
you
if
guys.
you only have brandy, brandy's super sweet, and I would not put the corn syrup in there because like check the taste beforehand because it might be too sweet.
Good point. By the way, bourbon and corn syrup, magnificent. It takes the edge off the alcohol. Very.
Right. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just getting my 1 cup walnuts. I will.
Now, I know this one has vanilla wafers,
Yes.
but I've had a friend make this with saltine crackers.
Okay.
And we call them drunken balls because they were definitely drunk when they made them. And they were surprisingly okay.
I was gonna say, I feel
For
like,
me,
yeah.
I don't like salt, so I felt like it was a little too salty. You know,
Good
but
point.
you know, you put
I
a
feel
lot of
like it
people
would
put a
cut
lot
the
of salt.
sweetness a little bit, but yeah, it'd still be good, I feel like.
Yeah,
But-
because you don't have the sweetness of the vanilla wafer, you know. So I feel like we added it. Well, I would say they added a little more sweetness to it.
Right. I'm gonna you myself.
Do you feel like it's best to whip it up with a fork or an egg beater? Looks like a fork works just fine.
Yeah, I'd say a fork definitely because I've tried like a whisk or whatever before and all of it kind of mushed in the middle of my whisk and it was not fun. Whoops.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
so it all got stuck in the middle of the whisk. Yeah.
Right. And then I spent more time getting it out with the whisk than actually mixing per se. Okay. So now I'm doing my 1 cup of walnuts in there. And then gotta chop my wafers yet.
Does it actually have to go in any order? I mean, well, obviously it does because you have to mix the ingredients before you put the coarse
All right,
stuff.
the next one's in.
Right. So
And
I
I
mean-
think when you mix, let's say, the powdered stuff, it incorporates it just easier. How much stirring do you want to do if you can save time? Actually stirring the corn syrup in with the bourbon, made it already blended. So as I poured it into the already blended powdered sugar and Hershey's, I use Hershey's cocoa.
Uh-huh.
Is it okay if there's some lumps in it?
I would say yeah, mine has a little bit of lumps too. I try and like beat out the lumps, but I mean there's still always a little bit of lumps left. You're not gonna get it like a completely fine. I mean, because we've got like the pecans and the walnuts or whatever you used, and then the vanilla wafers as well. So there's gonna be lumps either way. Especially like I said with the nuts. But I'm gonna go ahead and blend my wafers here. So let me.
I've also realized when I did the nuts and I'm about ready to do the wafers,
Uh-huh.
if you measure out, I measured out a cup of, fairly large walnuts.
Right.
When I ground it, it ended up being probably, an eighth of a cup less. But
Yeah, I always measure after I ground them.
so I
So
want to put a little bit more nuts in there.
yeah. Yeah, kind of fill it up a little bit.
And did you have a preference, or did you notice much difference between the walnuts and the pecans?
Not really, no, not to me at least. I mean, it might.
I mean, I would think walnuts are kind of a stronger flavor.
Yeah,
No,
that
but-
could be. But I mean, also the bourbon is very strong, so it kind of might have been in the background.
Evens everything out.
Right. But yeah, like now I'm crushing my wafers and then measuring them to get the cup of wafers. Okay. So let me know if I'm like getting out of the camera angle or whatever. I think I'm, but anyway, see. And then a few of my wafers like didn't mix up in my blender, so I'm just kind of you know, breaking them down by hand. Yes, most of them did. Okay. Okay, so now I've got the nuts and the wafers in there. Just gonna mix that up. Yeah, and it's gonna get really thick and lumpy after the nuts and
Does the
wafers. Huh?
it would seem like the longer you let it set, the more the
Oh
vanilla
yeah, the more
wafers
it's
would
getting
soak
thick.
in all the moisture, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
How, I mean, you could basically mix it and make the balls right away, but
Right.
probably the longer you let it set, the drier it would be.
Yeah, the more it's gonna set up for sure. Okay, so yeah, now we got this like brown mulchy looking stuff. Really smell the bourbon once this is all mixing in. It smells good. Okay. Now I'm gonna, so after we've got that all mixed, we're going to just scoop out the balls and then mix in the powdered sugar. I'm gonna clean my area up a little bit to give me some more workspace. But I believe I didn't write it down, but I believe it said a couple tablespoons balls, like 2 tablespoon balls or something. If I can find it, I usually just use my cookie scooper. But
Are you talking about how much powdered sugar for like rolling it in, or what?
it didn't really say. I just put some. I'll show you here in a second. I just usually put some in a bowl, and just cover the bottom of the bowl and roll it in, because we put a cup of the powdered sugar in there in the first step.
Right.
But otherwise, it just said use the powdered sugar and roll your balls in it. Well, darn it. Okay. I have
So how wet is the mixture?
What's that?
How wet is the mixture? Like
Wet
consistency does?
wise? I mean, like,
Yeah,
you can pick it
I
up.
mean, does it stick really well? Like, I mean, when you go to make it, it sticks pretty well to your hand.
Oh yeah, it's pretty sticky.
So
Yeah,
one trick I've learned on making chocolate balls is if you put a little oil on your hand before you go to roll it,
uh-huh.
it seems to make it a lot better for not sticking.
Oh, okay. That's true. I don't have any chocolate, but let's see. Okay, I'm done with all my blender things now. Move my blender stuff out of the way.
So in measuring out the 2 cups, it was considerably more than 40 wafers to make 2 cups. So it's best to go by the dry measurement.
Right.
And I'm also
Yeah,
thinking the food processor is not good for like an even breaking down of the white wafers. I think I would rather rolling pin them in a bag or something.
okay.
Because I've got some really fine stuff and then I got big old chunks on the top. But does it matter that much?
I mean, they're all going to be kind of turned into your bowls anyway. But no, it's kind of just going to give like a crunch if you do have some chunks.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a chunkier based ball anyway, so it's not like we're trying to make it super fine in one where you're trying to hide the chunks. But yeah, I get what you're saying too.
And it's okay to throw in the what's that?
Go ahead and move.
Is it okay just to throw the cookie dough and the nuts in all at the same time?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Or
I mean,
mix those two. Maybe I'll mix the nuts and the dry together. I guess any
How finely chopped should the nuts be?
I kind of do it like not a powder, but like where they're just real small chunks.
So this is what, that's what
Almost like
mine,
a ground. Yeah. That looks pretty much like what
and
mine did.
that has the nuts in it already.
Right. And like it said, see, like the nuts and the wafers are already mixed into there. And
It
so
does
it's
sound good. See if I can show you that mix.
so I'm gonna go ahead and put some powdered sugar just in a bowl here. Like I said, I'm not really measuring this. I'm just putting some
How
in the
many,
bottom of the bowl.
do we need 2 cups of the wafers?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So actually in mixing this, if
Mhm.
you could probably do it again, I would go with the 40 wafers and not the 2 cups, because I think I ended up putting almost 10 more cookies in it.
Okay.
But I don't know. I have to wait until the end and taste it to see how
Right.
exacting the recipe needs to be.
Right. Right. And I mean, honestly, yeah, I didn't write this recipe, so I just copy and pasted what they said. But yeah, I usually just go with the measurement. But yeah, if you want to go with the 40 wafers, I mean, I feel like that's might have, why they put that in there is, do what you want. Do how you like it.
Well,
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is it feels real dry and
Yeah.
may not hold together as well,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know.
Yeah, mine's pretty sticky and lumpy. Like not lumpy, but like I don't know. It's putting together pretty good. So now I'm just using my cookie scooper, and then I'm just gonna use that to form my balls. And then I'm just gonna plop them into my powdered sugar and then mix it around.
So that's like a small ice cream scooper almost, like that
Yeah,
you're
like
using?
a cookie scooper, ice cream scooper thing. I usually
Okay.
use it to form my cookie balls when I'm scooping out cookie dough.
So I guess you could figure out what size you want. If you want it bite size, you can make it smaller or bigger.
Sure. Yeah, like there's no right, if you want a huge one, I mean, you could probably make 2 out of your whole thing, but obviously we're going for a little smaller, probably. But yeah, whatever you want to make for your recipe. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna come out looking something like this. It's pretty easy to hold. It's not wanting to really fall apart or anything. And then I'm just gonna use a little oil pan I have here to store them in. And I'm just gonna do the same thing until I run out of my mixture here. So I'm just scooping them. And then however big or small, you want them to be, like we said, it's kind of up to you. I'm using this cookie scoop. But
Can you put them right into a cookie tin?
yeah, so right after we roll them in the powdered sugar, you get them smothered in the powdered sugar, almost like they're completely white. With the powdered sugar. You can still see the brown, in parts of it, but most of it is covered in powdered sugar. And then I'm kind of forming them into the ball shape after the powdered sugar is on there as well. Like so. And then, yeah, then we're just putting
I
them.
think the secret, Aubree, is definitely your cookie scoop. Because anytime
Yeah,
I've ever done this before, I would like scoop it and then try to roll a ball in my hands, and it would get all gooey all over my hands. And that's where
Yeah.
I mentioned you put a little oil on your hand, you could roll a chocolate ball, and then you could put sprinkles on it or dip it in the powdered sugar or whatever you want.
Yeah, so you just go straight.
Well, I get a
you usually
spoon
go
and I
straight
plop it in my hand, my oiled hand, and then roll a ball, and then plop it in powdered
Gotcha.
sugar or a sprinkle. But that scoop
Okay.
is
Yeah, it's really handy. Because my hands aren't sticky at all right now. I mean, they're a little powder sugary, but they're not sticky at all because once I'm picking them up, the powdered sugar has already covered all of the stickiness and whatnot. But, see.
I'm gonna try his or thing with the oil.
Yeah.
Just
And then after we're done,
Lulu, did you go
making the
get some fine, high quality olive oil just to cover your hands in?
avocado oil.
Oh, you,
Oh. There you go.
Stick them with the nut theme. Or
There you go.
they're not a nut. I think I'm gonna make
Yeah, they're
mine.
not enough.
I'm gonna make mine a little smaller.
Uh-huh. But yeah, so then after we're done making the balls, we just stick them in the fridge, and it says chill for at least 20 minutes, but I mean, you can keep them for up to 2 weeks. So it's however soon or later you want to eat them.
So they're supposed to stay refrigerated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just kind of helps keep them held together and everything. They kind of melt if you don't refrigerate them. Kind of fall apart. But
And can they stack? You want them single layer, or can they stack one on top of the other?
I mean, I'm gonna single layer mine because I have enough room in my tray here.
Okay.
But if you want to double stack them, I feel like they're at least my outcome in this recipe today is like dense enough to where you could stack them and it wouldn't hurt them. They wouldn't deform at all. Like we said, as long as you know, store them in the fridge, that way they aren't melting.
Oh, this is fun.
Uh-huh.
I love cookies.
and
Yeah.
so far,
almost like
Lulu,
it's-
I've been watching you really closely. You've managed to not like eat a chunk of it.
You know
You
what?
did have some of the bourbon and yeah,
Marty,
corn
I tried
syrup.
the bourbon. I tried the bourbon with the
The
I
corn
was
syrup.
gonna say agave, but the corn syrup. So
I will say.
Oh, there you go. She's tasting it.
I will say
Now,
when you
if
go
you're
to eat these,
if
you
you're a
probably won't.
commercial cook, you can't do that.
Well, at least don't let anybody see you.
But yeah, Aubree, can you make sure you take a picture of your final product and
Yeah, of course.
like it's like
But no, I was gonna say when you guys go to actually eat these, if you're making them at home, I would suggest having something to drink on hand because they are pretty dry once they get set up. And I always need something to drink when I'm eating anyway. But I almost choked myself out the first time because like it dried up my throat really quick and I didn't have anything to drink. I was like, oh my God. But yeah. So
So do
don't pop
do
them
you
in the
coat
car with
your
nothing to
hands?
drink as a snack.
So Aubree, do
What's
you
that?
coat your hands with anything?
I did not. The powdered sugar is kind of forming as a coat on my hands right now, just as I'm rolling the balls. But
Okay.
I didn't use any oil or anything.
Aubree, show her she's using a cookie scoop.
Yeah. So here, let me show you while I'm scooping the next one. So I'm using this cookie scoop here. It's got like a releaser thing in it, and I'm just scooping them about to the top of my cookie scoop here. And then I'm just plopping that into my bowl of powdered sugar.
You have a scoop?
Huh?
No.
Yeah, it's just like
That's
a
okay.
cookie
These are
scoop.
really good.
Yeah.
So what did
It's like I said, it's a really simple, really easy recipe. I feel like you can kind of just whip up quickly. And I mean, everybody that I've given them to, as far as my friends and coworkers, really love them. So, yeah. I mean, they have like a nut allergy or something. Might be a little different, but.
so you
Or
have
I was,
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking about it. Do you think there's like a gluten-free wafer option?
With your hand?
oh, there
They
you go.
do have gluten-free vanilla wafers. I've
Thank
had my
you.
hat in my pocket the whole time. I was just taking a break.
I'm gonna judge you.
So anyway,
What?
now I'm professional.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
Suzanne, Lulu's doing it where you coat your hands with oil and rolling the balls.
And I'm
And they
not
seem to look-
touching them. I'm not touching them when they're in the powdered sugar. I'm just lifting them out. And I'm making mine super tiny because I have a very little mouth.
Yeah, mine, the size I'm making them, they'll be like multiple bite balls, you know, I won't just pop the whole thing in my mouth. I'll take a couple bites out of it. But yeah, I like the bite size idea too, just so you can.
The thing
I
is,
definitely like the bite size because anything with powdered sugar, I get all over me. So like just put the whole powdered sugar in my mouth.
Right.
Much less chance of making a mess. So
Uh-huh.
Aubree, thank you so much for sharing with this.
No problem.
Anybody have any final questions for her? And
where are you located right now?
Carbondale.
You're with or not with per se.
No. He's wherever he is, in Colombia.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in
All right.
Carbondale.
Thank you.
thank you so much. I'll
Yeah.
just
Thanks,
wrap up.
Aubree.
No problem. Have a
That
great day.
was nice. Check this out.